headquartered, shiny buildings on the high street, and it's pretty scary, and you just wouldn't know where to begin trying to get in. Now, I assume that you would have a good product or service already, right? That's a gift. So, I mean, if you don't have anything good to sell, then you're not even in the game. But assuming that you have something great, and you look at this big shiny building and say, okay, how do I sell to this company, right? There's only one thing, there's only one principle to it all. They are run by humans, which means that behind all these shiny walls are actually just a bunch of guys like you and me doing their job, right? So it's not as scary as it actually is. But the problem is finding the right human that's running this thing. Now, as you begin thinking about your startup, you need to think about your relevance. Is it relevant when you want to attack a large company? You need to look at it in two ways. Are you relevant to the corporate, to the company itself, your service to company X, or are your products or services relevant to the people working there? Right? So there's actually two markets when we talk about a large company. The obvious difference between the two, right? So company is, okay, will the company itself buy this? Or if I have, just taking an example, selling cupcake delivery, right? For tea. So that's selling to both. Because you can say, well, you know what, if I sell to the company, that means, what if I can sell to the company when they do all their events, when they do all their meetings, I will supply the cupcakes to them. So that's on the left side. Or on the right side, if you say, hey, you know what, this company, they've got a lot of people working there, they don't have time, what if I try to sell these cupcakes to them personally? Right? So there's two ways of penetrating a large company. Think about it as selling to the big company itself or selling it to the people who work there. But the question then comes, why do you even want to bother doing this? Well, there's a very simple reason, especially the one on the left. Once you get a hook into a big company and you go through the whole process of getting in, companies are very difficult to change. So once you've locked into a contract with you for a year, 2 years, you get lost in that company and they just renew your contract for a while. So it's all about steady income. The difference between that and the people in the company is, well, you know what, they're more fickle, they don't like your cupcakes tomorrow, they won't buy from you anymore. But if you connected with the procurement process within a large company, likelihood is you'll stay for at least 1 or 2 years. So that's what, when we're in Accenture, that's what we do, right? We go in, sell them a little product, and then the second important thing about selling to the company is the company is huge. So you would sell it in, say, the headquarters in KL, they like it, they've got branches in different places, so you can expand your penetration into that company. But you need to start with the first one. So, you need to understand that as a large company, there's only two things that's relevant to them. How to make money, how to cut down costs. So as you think about that product and the service that you are coming up with, the relevance to that product to this company must hit one or the other. That's it. So maybe the cupcake example was a bad one, because we provide them cupcakes, it probably doesn't give them any revenue or cut costs, but they could. Because if, let's say, the current catering services, when they provide the cupcakes is at $5 per cupcake, you can do it at $3.30, so it's cheaper, right? So that's a very simplified example. But ultimately, your conversations with the company, you must address one or the other. That's it. How do your product or service help them make money, more money, or how does it help them reduce their cost of operation? Very simple. There is a third, which is branding and marketing. So how does your product or service help enhance a company's branding? But that's normally a tougher sell. Now, once you have the product and great idea, and then you found your relevance to that big company, and you think, okay, this is a product that would help them sell something more. So it's a revenue generator. Then it's just about finding the right human in that organization. This is what we call cold call, right? Literally, just Google the company, look at the directory list and see who are the people who work in there. Right? That's a long-winded way. But you know what? That's how you operate as a startup center course anyway, right? You cold call everybody all the time. So don't be afraid to open up your directory and call guys in this big company, because at the end of the day, they're just people too. Right? So I get cold called all the time. I got Wilson from Bottlemate or something. He just went up to me and said, hey, can I have a meeting with you to talk about something? I said, sure. Right? So that's at the end of the phone call to a company is actually a person. But of course, you need to have your storyline very clear, right? So this is what I do. This is potentially what it can help your company with. Are you the right person for me to talk to? Right? The first one will say, no, I got no time, call somebody else, if you're lucky. Then you call another one and say, yeah, I think, Mr. X from that department probably somebody you want to talk to. So all you want to do is just keep persistent, right? And don't forget, a large company is so big that it does not have memory across the organization. Meaning, you've called this department, and when you call another department, the second department doesn't know you've called the first one, right? So, be thick skin about it and just call because they wouldn't know. So it's not like, hey, you've called us 5 times already, and then stop calling us. No, a big organization is just so big, they wouldn't know that you've called them 100 times because it's different people all the time. Okay? So that's what you need to do. Find your relevance. Does it help them make money or bring down costs? And then find the right person in that department. If you're selling to the people in the company, then hey, that's easy, right? So that's just what are the people's needs and then sell what you do. The end. How do you get into a big company like this? This is where your friends, your auntie, your parents, your network, buddy who works there help. Because you don't call the directory of the company and say, hey, I'm going to sell this service. This is where I've got a friend who works in Maybank, right? Maybe I can just go there and sell it to him. And then it's word of mouth and it goes viral. It's amazing how just close to either Chinese New Year or Hari Raya, the number of free pineapple tarts and raya cakes and kueh that goes around, right, in the department is almost like you'll be full with, and the problem is it's around passing months too, right? And all these cakes and kuehs and sample biscuits are making its way around. And you already have, the kapas tarts from 6th floor, that's the best one you should order. So this thing is viral, especially in a building like Menara Maybank, right? It's 44 floors of potential customers buying your tarts. And I think there's about 4,000 of us in that one building alone. And it even goes beyond, right? So we've got another, but I know this for real. So there's actually this, it's not tart, it's the white color kuih bolu or something. Anyway, which is really good from Dataran, our Dataran branch in Bangsa. So he gets all the guys from there, and then some of them gets delivered to Menara, and then suddenly in Menara we all get, queues. So and this is a very simple example of is just word of mouth. So when you have everybody in a small space, so can you imagine how easy it is to sell? I suppose if you go out to the public, yes, you've got your social media and all that, but nothing beats, number one, samples, you can actually try it, and number two, just people convincing each other, hey, you're going to get 2 tubs, just get an extra one for me. So that's how you attack that side of the business. The only problem is, of course, this is a bit more physical, so logistics can be a bit of a challenge. But the really big one is nonetheless. So let's focus on that one a little bit. So you look at this big building, you've targeted the right person, you've got the meeting, and then you pitched it to them, and then they say, okay, this is probably something that we can use, but don't forget, behind this big shiny building, a bunch of legacy processes and legacy systems, right? Things do not necessarily move as smooth as you think they do. Especially the bigger they are, the worse the legacy backend is. So I've always found research works here. I've always found that a lot of companies that come, even when I was in Accenture, we go in and we say, hey, I have this fantastic product, right? This will help you save time for your customers to queue at your branches. It's amazing. And then we'll look at it and say, yeah, okay, but you know what? If you want to link that to our customer system, then we've got this huge thing at the back that you need to work through. So the question that you need to have is, as you formulate technically, or even in terms of a process, a product and service that you want to sell, be aware that if you do that on a prototype or pilot, it's isolated, it's easy. But the moment you have to plug in to a big, large company's legacy system, that's when everything falls apart. Right? And that's the reality. In fact, sometimes the business people that you meet, they don't even know what's at the back. There's gremlins running around and doing these processes, and then so you will be the one to have to uncover that. So if I take that queue management system, right? So everybody knows that you go to a branch, not a Maybank branch, but a general branch, and there's long queues all the time. And then some smart guys say, hey, you know what? This is silly. Why can't I just do an online booking thing, right? And they'll know exactly what time I go there, and then you don't have to queue. And they know who I am, right? So if I just have an app, and I will just key in my account number or something, and I'll say I want to go to this branch, I want to turn up at 3 o'clock, it just confirms it, done. Sounds cool. I'll create the app, everything's cool, UX UI all perfect, and then you go to my branch department and say, okay, this is the system, right? This is the system to cut down your branches. Okay, cool. The branch manager say, okay, excellent. Let's see how this works. Okay, first you take your account number, and then all you have to do as a bank is just to figure out, just validate that customer, whether it's high net worth and all that, and then you can give them the key number. Cool. How do you validate the account number again? Okay, let me call IT. And then suddenly you're stuck in this rabbit hole of, okay, once you have an account number, where's the system that has the details, and what about the latency, the performance? Do branches have access to that, right? And this is a very simple example of just validating one account number. So on the outside, it's so simple. But in reality, when you try to plug it back in, it is not as easy. Number one. Number two, okay, once the number comes up, then how do we know where to go? Do you have to retrain the greeter? When the greeter gets this guy coming in, is there a holding place somewhere? Is it, you know what I mean? So there's the people process part of it too, that you need to think about how you plug in your new product or service to a large company. It's not that they don't want to be more nimble and lean, it's just that they're stuck with all this stuff, right? So, and this is a real challenge. Now, assume you get even that far, right? Assume your product and service gets a good buyer inside the organization. They say, yes, this is great. Okay, I will get back to you, right? 2 months later, nothing happened. 6 months later, you're calling them up. Hey, what's going on? I said, yeah, we're still working through, right? Here's another thing you need to appreciate. The budgeting cycle of a large company. Okay? This is the showstopper of everything, the budget cycle. Now, assume a calendar year for a company ends in December, alright? So January is a new year. Sometime around June, July, August, is when we start planning our budget for the following year. Right? So right now it's FY15. In fact, literally right now we are all in our company planning what we're going to do for next year. And then we go through the whole process of selecting the key projects that we want to do, budgeting the amount, goes through the 10 different levels of approval. Okay, I'm going to do this 5 projects. So my department now, has been approved with these 5 projects, right? X amount. And then we go through the budget challenge. The budget challenge is essentially, my department wants 10 million bucks. It goes to our CFO. CFO looks across, hey, everybody wants 10 million bucks, can't afford it, everybody gets 5 million. And then you say, no, mine is going to generate all this great revenue, so give me at least 7. Goes back in, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. By probably November, December time frame, okay, everybody gets their budget. January comes, right? In February, you knock on the door. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, I've got this fantastic stuff. I've got this project. All you need is 500,000. Invest in me, right? Sell this. And then the department here is going to go, budget all covered. I needed 10, I only got 7. And then I had actually no spare. And this is, unfortunately, guys, the reality of a big company, the budget cycle. You have two things in budget. One is the discretionary, one is non-discretionary. Non-discretionary stuff is the BAU. This is the, okay, I bought this service, it's 15% maintenance fee every year, or projects that's run for over a year. So this one, I'll get the money for anyway. Then I've got my discretionary funding, which is the project, right? So discretionary funding are on projects that I've already approved on. So where are you gonna, how are you gonna get them to pay extra when they don't have any? And that's the reality. There's none. The only way that guy can pay for your project in the middle of a non-budget cycle is to kill something else, right? So like I said, I've got 5 projects, and then this one comes in, this is better. Okay, I'll go through the process of changing the budget, project name, or what have you. So every company has a different process of doing that because there's a lot of governance. So at the start of the project, you kick it off, so halfway through suddenly you say, hey, we're going to kill this, we're going to use the budget for something else. But most likely in a big company, their budget's overrun. So even the 7 million that I have in the first place is not enough to cover my project. Let alone you coming in February trying to ask me for more money. So a couple of things that you can do in terms of homework. Find out what is the annual cycle of that company is. Right? And this is what I do when I was in Accenture, right? Every client that I have, I know exactly when their annual year is. So let's say December, okay, so I know that 6 months before that is when they're going to start doing it. So in 3 months before that, April, May is when I go knocking doors. But in my mind, I know this is not a project I'm selling for this year. It is for the following year. Right? Because you go in a couple of months, they love it, great. And then you follow through with that. Okay, let me help you. Because you see, you are not selling to the person you met. They love your product already. You need to help them sell it internally. Right? So what you need to do is give them all the facts, give them, even do the PowerPoints for them, to say, hey, look, this is the breakdown, what do you want? Draw out the ROI, and all those things. So this is also the other difference between selling to a big company and to a person. It's the return on investment, right? The big paper approvals that these guys have to go through. And it goes back to the first principle before. As far as the company is concerned, it's all about hitting their revenues or bringing down their costs. If you're not clear between these two, and you can't project that on a piece of paper, there's no way that guy can sell your product internally, because that's the only way he can justify your project. Okay? So that's the timing and the content part. The other thing that, large companies that does this can afford to say, hey, I'm going to go in April, May, hoping to sell a project in January. I don't know if you guys have the cash flow to survive 7 months of not sure, right? But that's just the reality. When you are in a large company, the cycles are a lot slower. And it doesn't even guarantee it happening. So, one is the budget cycle. So once the budget is in, you are halfway there. And don't forget, this is the good news about getting projects in large companies. When you do up that project paper for them, it's CAPEX and OPEX, right? So you have your capital expenditure, which is upfront. You need to buy your big server, you need to buy your consulting services, what have you up front. Then there's the OPEX, and the OPEX is the running cost. And that's the sweet spot that you want. That's the regular revenue that's going to go into your company over the next few years. Okay? Now, another key challenge going into a large company is we go through RFPs, right? Request for proposals. This procurement cycle essentially means, okay, if I want to run a project that requires this new queuing system, I need to show to my strategic procurement that I have looked at 5 other queuing systems. And from these 5 queuing systems, I've shown them my requirements, they come back with their proposals, I will score them and I will evaluate them, and then I will choose down to 2 And from these two, I'm going to knock each other until I get the best price. Now, if you're a startup, how do you even start that game, right? You don't have the 3 years or 5 years history on your product. You don't have the 20 different companies or past customers as reference to show me. And even worse, your product is so bleeding edge, I don't even have 4 other companies to compare yours with. Now, think about it. I am that human being in the firm, right? I'm going to sit there, this is way too much trouble for me. I'll go find myself another cost of revenue project, right? So how do you overcome this? I have no idea. But I think that's where there's 2 things that you can do. Number one, that's where you need to partner with somebody, right? Like it or not, you do need, if you want to go down that path, you do need to partner with somebody who actually has that relationship with the company already. Now, all companies, every large company in their strategic procurement department has what they call a vendor list, right? So this is the approved vendor list for buying pencils, this is the approved vendor list for buying systems, this is the approved vendor list, da. So what you need to do is make sense or somehow figure out from the procurement who are the people in this vendor list. Then you go talk to them and say, hey, you know what, I've got this queuing system, which is bleeding edge, which is great. Can we partner with you to go into that company? Right? So you use that guy's credentials, and as far as that company is concerned, I'm going to take 1%, 2%, whatever it is, and you're just an additional service that I can provide. Right? That's the reality. You just have to partner with somebody. Number 2 is you need to find departments like mine. Right? There are, in a lot of large companies right now, there are a lot of departments or units where they allow experimentation. Right? They allow companies, they allow the department to just, okay, here's a chunk of money, go play around with it. And the reason why there are a lot of these innovative departments now is because of you guys, which is ironic. It's because large companies now know that, shit, you know what, a lot of the disruption is going to come from outside. If all of them have to go through the same selection process, we're never going to get any of this innovation in. So let's just put a nice little safe amount aside to do that. So you need to go find who are the guys out there who's driving innovation, driving new markets, driving new whatever. Those are the guys with the small X amount of discretionary numbers. And in reality, the stuff that you guys are going to be offering to these companies are not huge, right? You're not going to suddenly go into the company and say, my product, do this, $10 million. No, right? In fact, these are the type of departments you want to work with to say, hey, you know what? My product is not even fully tested yet. I'm not quite sure. Can we just partner with you guys and help develop this? You might want to just do that for free even, right? But once you're in, then that department will help it grow internally, right? So you need to go find those. There's a lot of vendor development programs in companies. I know definitely in Malaysia, if you go to all the GLCs, all of them have vendor development programs. So they are mandated by the government to go help startups and help entrepreneurs. And so they do have to spend money on the smaller companies. Go work with them, and then I know there's a company who got in at PNB. It was a 3-man show at the start. They did a bit of consulting on SAPs, and now they're doing very well through PNB's vendor development program. And then once they got a name for themselves, they went to all the other GLCs. Because immediately you finally got your first project, you can use that as a reference, and the whole thing snowballs. Right? So that's it about the process. What else do I want to talk about? Actually, that was it. I wanted to leave a bit longer for Q&A. Q&A? One at the back.
Hi. I think one of the obstacles dealing with corporates is that, okay, maybe once you get in, one concern that they have that, okay, you do this for me and me only, and don't do this for my competitors. So how do we get away from that?
Being exclusive. Yeah, we like that. You can't get away from it. Because if your product or service is so good that it will give my company a competitive advantage, why would I want to share that with everybody else? So you can't. Your decision really is, this company, is that the one that I'm going to go exclusive with? Because they've got big potential, or they've got the biggest market in the market, right? The biggest slice. Is that the one that I want to partner with? But for companies who play that way, you can't get around it. Because if you think about it from their standpoint, again, internally, for me to justify to my own management, to my own board, hey, get this guy, I've got an exclusive deal. Right? They can't go anywhere else. The only way you can kind of circumvent it is time. There is no such thing as being exclusive perpetually. Right? So you can say, okay, since you are my first deal, let's be exclusive for 2 years. Then as a company, say, okay, cool, I can live with that. I'll bring you in, I've got at least a 2-year runaway of being ahead of my customers, against my competitors, and then you can go sell your stuff. Yeah. Up front, you have a question? All right.
Just out of curiosity, in terms of relevance, for example, for MaGIC, what kind of products would be relevant to a bank? For us to approach you guys.
Oh, plenty. Okay, any products or service that makes, so think yourself as a customer to MaGIC. Let's put it that way, right? If you're a customer to MaGIC, I want to open an account with MaGIC. I'm sorry, you still have to go to the branch and do all that. So what if you can use that process, right? We look at a lot of companies with e-commerce because we have a big payment engine that we want to push. So if your product helps, if your product needs a lot of online transactions and stuff, talk to us, and then we say, yeah, okay, we'll do that. I'm just thinking whether I should share this. Yeah. Okay. So you need to understand MaGIC as a bank. What do? We sell loans. So what if your product or service could channel more customers to us? Right? So then that's something that we could. So bringing in lots more new customers to us, great. Sometimes it's not even about you really selling to us. You see, how does banks make money? Banks make money by getting in your savings, putting it in our account, right? And we give you low interest, right? 3%. I use the same money and I loan it out at 7%. So I make my float 4% in between, right? But for me to be able to do that, I need to have a big savings. So if you have a business that you tell me, hey, you know what? I have this thing. I'm selling it to somebody else. But if I deal with them, they need to have a MaGIC account. Only then we'll deal with them. I will love you for that, right? So, yep, I'll partner with you. Let's make sure your business works, because what you are forcing is other people to open MaGIC accounts. That's all you need to do. So, so there's a lot of permutations, a lot of things that we can do. Just so a quick plug. So I just ran the fintech program earlier this year, and to bring a lot of guys in to see how you guys can help us drive more in terms of the industry. So that's how you can help them. So in a similar way, think about the other large companies, right? What do they do as a business? So how do you think back to how do they make money, right? And then you figure out, okay, if it makes sense to them, then it would. Yeah.
Hi. I actually have two questions, if you don't mind. So, the first question is, you're talking about, how can we actually help the banks to actually make money or reduce the cost, right? What is
not just banks, any company.
Okay, any of the banks.
Yeah.
So
this is not just any other bank, any company. So this is not just about banks. Any company only has two things on their mind. revenue, cost. Okay.
Yep. So the question for you, if let's say those things that might be a program for solutions that actually help to increase employee productivity, something like corporate runners programs, or even to actually increase the corporate social responsibility. So this kind of things, what is your take? Like, what's your tricks that can you propose to any
big company? So you actually have two things there. One is on productivity, and productivity hits cost. Because the more productive somebody is, I don't have to use as many people, back to cost. Right? So that's the game. Now your second one though is on social responsibility and stuff. That's under the third category which I didn't talk about, which is the branding and marketing. Right? So yes, large companies now embrace a lot of social responsibility for two reasons. Okay, three. First one is a tax break, but let's not say that lah. They do, but it's essentially external and internal. External is fantastic promotion, right? So branding, these companies doing this and doing that and all that stuff is great. Number two is internal, meaning when a company does a lot of social responsibility stuff, all the millennials will come in. So the Gen Xers couldn't care less, lah. Those days we were thinking more about how we pay bills, right? And keeping roof on our heads. But a lot of the millennials now, you guys, care about a company that is more socially responsible, right? So that's why a lot of companies now do a lot of this socially responsible stuff. So yes, you can go in that direction, please.
All right, thanks. My second question is, you're talking about, finding the right humans, right? I mean the right decision makers. When things that actually come across involve multiple departments, right? Then how do you know which department is actually the ultimate, the final decision makers?
Very difficult. It is very difficult. And that is the problem with the silos within a large organization. Sometimes it is about all 5 departments shaking hands to do something. But you are right. Ultimately, there is always one champion for a particular initiative project. That's the one that you need to find, and there is no shortcut to that. There is no shortcut to that.
Then allow me to the third question for you. Then go back to my things that if let's say you provide this kind of like corporate wellness programs, right? So which department is the ultimate champion decision maker?
There could be two. One is on corporate affairs. So the corporate affairs department of large companies normally run these things. The other one is human capital or HR. Right? Cool. If you got a good one, you can talk to me after.
Yeah. Hi. I have a question. What is your opinion on the hosting data in the cloud server? If let's say I propose to the bank for the fintech business intelligence app.
In today's Bank Negara guidelines, they are very quiet about cloud, and therefore every proposal needs to go to them for their final approval. However, what's clear is any customer data, any transactional data that has to do with the customers cannot be on the cloud. It has to be owned by the bank. Now, even worse when it's regional, Indonesia, for example, your data, any data, cannot leave outside Indonesia. Right, so various countries have various different regulatory requirements. But in Malaysia, anyway, I see we ask Malaysia, is you need to go to Bank Negara and ask. But normally, other data than customer data, transactional data, you can talk to them. Otherwise, those two have to be in the bank. You can't do cloud. Yeah. Yes.
It's my turn.
Oh, sorry.
I'm from Kota Kinabalu.
Yes.
So I want to ask, right? There were few instances that the ongoing projects that I do for big companies, for example, big companies, that their branch in Kota Kinabalu approached me. But if I were to approach a big company via their branch in Kota Kinabalu, right? So it's always that they said to refer back to their HQ. So how does that work actually? For instance, like Maybank, I've been approached too by the branch, but when I want to propose something else, then it has to go back to the HQ. My question is, are the branches in the other states besides the HQ mandated with certain amount of budget to run projects or programs?
Yes. So basically, when we go through the budgeting cycle, we will issue out, like I said, the non-discretionary stuff, basically how much money does it take to run a branch, that's fixed, right? So branches can't go too far away. But there are project funding that is given out to some branches, but it's not given like a blank check. The branches themselves have to come back to HQ and go through the budget cycle. So your branch in Kota Kinabalu says this fantastic service and all that, and they're so convinced with it, they have to come up with the approval paper that flows back all the way to HQ where the money is, and then it's approved. You should do both. You go to the branch because you want to get the support, so that then when you go to HQ, you can say, hey, you know what, I have spoken to the branch in Kota Kinabalu, they're fully supportive of this. Then discuss from there.
Yeah. Hi. I want to ask whether this is the case or not, or whether this is a reality, that it's harder to make money from selling to large organizations than selling to small to medium-sized organizations. Because large organizations have too much bargaining power, or because the sellers want their portfolio to look good, so they don't mind losing money selling to the organization to have them in their portfolio. Whether this is the case.
Yes and no. If you take a big company like IBM, Accenture, and all that, they would only sell to big companies because big companies are the guys who have enough budget to pay for those kind of services. So yes, you can make money out of large companies. I guess it's really down to the product and service itself, right? So I don't know. I'm struggling to find an example that kind of hits both. But large companies wouldn't go to the smaller companies, that's for sure, right? Because the smaller companies just can't afford it, and the margins are too big for a small company to absorb. That's the margin. But no, I think you can make money out of the big companies. Is it? Bargaining power? Could be. Sorry, I can't answer. I think it's both.
Hi, my name is Greg. Well, I got two questions. First will be, just now you mentioned that the physical server has to be in Malaysia if you were to do business with banks.
If the data is customer or transaction data?
Not just customer transaction. We have like some data from the loans processes. And
so all that
has to be in Malaysia, right? Yeah, and then other than that, is there any security concern, or is that if let's say the physical data, the server, must be hosted under AIMS or NTT, or if we have, is that MaGIC has any regulation or any kind of requirement for this? It has to be hosted, or it has to be hosted with a reliable data center.
So if your product or service is going to handle with any MaGIC customer data translator, then your whole solution needs to sit in our data center. Right? And once you're in our data center, then it's the whole thing that goes with it.
Yes, right. Yeah. I see. But our system is not built just for MaGIC alone. It's for all banks, basically. But
then you will have to. So if we buy your solution, if CIMB buys your solution, if MBank buys your solution, you will have to replicate it again and again.
I see.
So you can't have like one infrastructure to serve 3 banks.
Okay. Yeah. My next question is, we have been approaching banks for for quite some time. Yeah, you're right. The larger the bank is, the longer process it takes.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we have a solution to help banks like Maybank to one, to reduce costs. Secondly, to increase productivity and sales, basically.
Cool. Talk to me later.
Yeah. Can we talk to you? That'd be great. Thanks.
But let me get my lamb barbecue first, and then we can talk after that.
All right, I think we'll stop here.
Okay.
All right, so thank you, Amran.
Thank you very much.